Truth Unveiled here, and today I have an important report to share with you. We're going to be talking about more of the prophetic implications when it comes to COVID and the whole vaccine and what you can expect to come, and also what your world leaders are doing and what they are saying about this. Now, we're also going to be talking about some more prophetic things as time gets closer because time has already told you that time's up. But did you think it was a joke, or do you see the truth that's right in front of you? Because here we are at Time Magazine, and this says right here, the story behind Time's plague election Donald Trump cover. Let me repeat that. The story behind Time's plague election Donald Trump cover. Now, this issue is supposed to be coming out next week, actually. Now, it was initially released last week. Now, here is the actual cover itself. As you can see, we're going to be talking more about it later on in the video to come when we discuss the prophetic significance of it when it comes to the 400 years and everything. But before we do that, I wanted to bring your attention to what Trump and Fauci said recently, just a few weeks ago, when it comes to the vaccine and how they're looking to implement the military in certain communities. Pay careful attention to what they are saying.
One issue that has come up is once you do have a vaccine, how do you properly distribute it? How do you get it out quickly to millions?
Well, when we have the vaccine, we have the military all lined up. We have the military all lined up. We have the military all lined up. And the military is going to be doing it in a very powerful manner. The military is going to be doing it in a very powerful manner. These are people that don't usually do vaccines. They do soldiers and they do lots of other things that frankly are more difficult. But we have our general, and logistically he's all set. Tony, do you want to say something about that?
That is correct. As the vaccine rolls out, we'll be getting them distributed. And as you probably have heard, we are going to make sure that we do it in an equitable way, and it's representative of the populations who need it the most. And it's representative of the populations who need it the most. And we have the standard way that we determine that with the ACIP working with the CDC, but Dr. Collins and Dr. Redfield have put together with the National Academy of Medicine a group that will fortify that decision-making process so that we're making sure that we're very fair and equitable in getting the vaccine distributed properly.
Again, folks, that is what we're trying to bring your attention to in this video today is, again, not only how they are trying to normalize this vaccine, but how they're trying to already enforce it on everyone, just like they've done with the mask coverings and the face coverings, and just like they're about to do with the vaccine until the point where you have no choice but to take it. But of course, for those of us who will not take it, you need to understand the prophetic significance of such a decision. Now, we're here right now at the National Law Review, and the reason why we're here is because, again, pay careful attention to the wording of this. This article was released a couple of weeks ago, but it says here, vaccinate or terminate mandatory vaccination as workplace policy. So again, that is exactly the next part of the agenda with this, is to what? Not only normalize the vaccine, but basically make everyone take it, and anyone who does not is seen as what? Is seen as a political dissident. But it says right here, and we're not going to go over all of it, but I will link it in the description box below. The discovery, testing, and mass deployment of a COVID-19 vaccine are welcome developments in potentially ending the coronavirus pandemic. No, that's not what it's going to do. They know darn well that more than likely the vaccine is what's going to spread and cause even more diseases. A safe and widely available vaccine will also allow employees to return to the physical workplace. But do you see what they're trying to do is what? Make it mandatory so that if you do not take the vaccine, or if your children do not take the vaccine, you can no longer go to work or go to school. Just like what we talked about before, how we talked about with the face coverings, now you have to wear it everywhere when you go into a store, when you go to different places. It's going to be the same thing soon enough when it comes to the vaccine. And could that even lead up to what? The beast system, the satanic kingdom, indeed, what? Preparation of their new world order. But this just talks about right here how they're looking to what? They're already talking about making the vaccine mandatory and how it would be mandatory within the workplace and how they're talking about the implications that would come with this. And of course, they're going to tell you that, oh, it's going to be a great thing. And oh, people who are inoculated, oh, they're going to reduce the spread of COVID-19. And oh, it's going to be beneficial for everyone, even though we know the real truth about this. Now there are even articles that are also coming out when it comes to Russia, because this one comes from New Scientist that says everything you need to know about Russia's coronavirus vaccine claims. Because recently in the news, it was announced that Russia had come up with the coronavirus vaccine. Of course, we know the truth. And what's the real truth? The real truth is that they've already had a vaccine before coronavirus even started. Of course, they're not going to tell you that. They're going to keep this narrative going that, oh, we're developing a vaccine, and oh, we're developing phases of the vaccine, and oh, it's in development, and oh, it's coming, and oh, we're getting it ready. No, that's all part of the deception. That's all part of the narrative that they're going to keep pushing on the sleeping public. Now, the actual article right here says that the Russian President Vladimir Putin announced that the country has approved the vaccine against SARS-CoV-2, the coronavirus that causes COVID-19. Putin said that the vaccine is safe and effective. Of course, we know the truth about that and have done plenty of videos about why vaccines are not safe and what they actually do, and also the ingredients in them. Russia apparently plans to start what? Mass vaccinations in October. So what? That's only a few months from now. And you already know that they're talking about this for Russia, that soon enough they might as well be talking about what? The whole entire world, because that is what they're looking to do, is vaccinate everyone all over the world, just like how they had lockdowns all over the world. I'm telling you, that's what they're doing because it's a worldwide issue according to them. And of course, because it's Russia, they're going to be telling you that, oh, they don't know if it's safe, and oh, they don't know if it's effective. They don't know all of it and all the details yet. But of course, we know the real truth that none of the vaccines are safe whatsoever. Now, it's interesting to me how they called it and dubbed it the Sputnik 5 right here in reference to the first artificial satellite, Sputnik 1, which was launched by the USSR in 1957, even though we know the real truth about space and where they actually go. And we've done a playlist on this. If you would like to take a look on it, please do so that you can see the truth that is right in front of you. Then they tell you that the vaccine will be administered in 2 shots 21 days apart, and how they both contain modified adenoviruses, which would ordinarily cause a common cold. But that's not the only thing that's happening, because in a local report that comes from San Diego, this says right here that states have authority to fine or jail people who refuse the coronavirus vaccine, according to an attorney, and that this legal precedent dates all the way back to well over 100 years ago in 1905. Now, first of all, folks, the first question you need to be asking yourself is, why are they coming out with this article before there even is a coronavirus vaccine, at least in the States? Why are they even coming out with this well before there even is a vaccine, even though we know that they've already come up with the vaccine well before? However, that's what you need to be asking yourself. Why is this already in the news? Why are they already pushing this narrative before the vaccine has even been administered? And of course, what you just heard from Trump and from Fauci, both of them, that what they're looking to do, what? They're looking to push the military to get out these vaccines. Why do you think that's the case? Why are they talking about getting out the military to push out the vaccine before there even is a vaccine administration? No clinics have officially given out the vaccine yet, and normally that's what they do, is that they bring it to the clinics first, they bring it to Walgreens, they bring it to CVS, they bring it to stores like that. Why all of a sudden with this one are they skipping to the military, and why are they coming out with articles like this telling you already before there is a vaccine that what? That states have the authority to jail you or fine you for not taking it? Very interesting and suspicious indeed. What I'm trying to get your eyes to see is, do you see where this is going and where this is leading up to and how this is preparation for what? Their new world order satanic kingdom where what? You have no rights whatsoever. But the report itself says, and we're not going to go over all of it, it says right here, as they race to develop a vaccine against coronavirus, it says, could the government require people to get it? Could people who refuse to roll up their sleeves, what, get banned from stores or lose their jobs? Haven't we been talking about this on this network for how many months now? The short answer is yes, according to Dove Fox, a law professor and the director of the Center for Health Law Policy and Bioethics at the University of San Diego. Quote, states can compel vaccinations in more or less intrusive ways, that was said in an interview. Quote, they can limit access to schools or services or jobs if people do not get vaccinated. They could force them to pay a fine or even lock them up in jail. Now, this is something also I noted that was very interesting and suspicious indeed, how Fox noted authorities in the US have never attempted to jail people for refusing to vaccinate, but other countries like France have adopted the aggressive tactic. Now, they claim that such a legal precedent dates all the way back to 1905 in a U.S. Supreme Court case, Jacobson versus Massachusetts, where the court ruled that Massachusetts had the authority to fine people who refuse vaccinations for smallpox. But what we just read over here, that the U.S. has never attempted to jail anyone for refusing to vaccinate. Why all of a sudden is this now the main narrative? Why all of a sudden is it now the narrative in the news and in the media that now all of a sudden, if you refuse coronavirus vaccine, well, you could be fined and jailed? And not only that, but then it goes on to say here that states would need to allow exemptions for people with legitimate medical risk like pregnancy, but not exemptions on religious or philosophical grounds. Quote, religious exemptions are not constitutionally required by the First Amendment's free exercise clause, provided that the vaccine mandates don't single out religion. They're not motivated by a desire to interfere with it. In the workplace, private employers would have a lot of flexibility to what? Require vaccinations and fire workers who refuse them for anything but legitimate medical concerns. So what is this literally telling you? That you have no rights whatsoever. And for the past month or so, they're already getting ready for immunity passports when it comes to this as well, from the coronavirus, from a report from the BBC. So again, they're trying to find more and more ways to invade onto your privacy as well. And just like we talked about in our last report, how Singapore and saw how many other places in regions, how they already have electronic tags trying to track people under the name of coronavirus. But is that really the case? Because this says right here, the idea is that a passport would certify that you have had coronavirus and will not carry or contract the disease again, opening up a way out of lockdown restrictions for the holder. But is that really what they're doing? So again, the question you need to be thinking about is why? Why are they getting ready for all of these things? Why all of these unprecedented laws that are going forth? Why all of this stuff when it comes to the National Law Review? Why are they getting ready to basically change the workplace and make it mandatory for everyone to accept the vaccine? Why, you may be wondering? Because they know they're getting ready for judgment. That's why. That's why Trump and Fauci are constantly talking about bringing in the military and are adamant about it to try to what? Track people for these vaccines. And they're probably going to go door to door with it because they're getting ready for their new world order shortly before the reign of the real Messiah. But before that, there has to be what? The grand illusion. There has to be the false Messiah first. And so now they're literally telling you in films and all over the place how they're getting ready for that, just like they told you in our last video with the NBA trailer. And what did that really show you for the 2K21 trailer? You can watch the video if you missed it. But here I'm showing you a movie that's actually coming out this year called Greenland. Now, this movie has to do with a family that's trying to adapt and trying to escape the effects of what they call a comet that hits and impacts the world. And of course, they're going to tell you that, oh, it's from outer space, when according to the book of Kazun, Revelation 16:21, this is going to be part of what? Judgment, and that it's really the hailstones. And they tell you that the hailstones are as large as these so-called comets. Very interesting and suspicious indeed. But again, I wanted to bring that to your attention just so that you would see it and have both your eyes open, because again, folks, there are some prophetic things that are about to take place. And again, like the word talks about, that the plagues are coming back to America all over again. Hailstones is going to be one of them, which are going to be the so-called comets, the so-called asteroids. Your government knows this well. They are well prepared for this. And when it happens, they're already going to be in their secure bunker somewhere, and they're probably going to evacuate the White House before it happens. I'm telling you this now so that you will be ready, so that you will not be fooled like everyone else when they think that, oh, it's from outer space and oh, it's from some comet that came from some other planet. No, it did not. Now, the reason I'm here at the Time magazine cover again is to go over with you once again the prophetic significance. Do you see this? Time, the plague election, plague, doesn't that remind you of the 10 plagues of Egypt? Is America spiritual Egypt to this day according to the word? Didn't the creator say that his people would be enslaved and oppressed in a land that is not theirs for 400 years, and after that nation would be judged? Why do you think it's showing you right here the White House being flooded right now? What is that trying to tell you? What? Judgment coming to America, judgment coming to this nation, regardless if it's this year, next year, or the year after. What you need to understand is that judgment is right at the door. Judgment is here. Your government knows that. They know that time's up, and they're preparing vehemently for it. But the question is, are you? Please seek Yahuwah and his true son Yahusha, because the 400 years are up. They know that judgment is coming. The plague election, the plagues, the 10 plagues, the creator says that that he would send plagues on this nation as before. What is that talking about? What is the implication behind that? Do you see this with both your eyes open? Not only that, but this year just so happens to be the election year, the purge election year. Very interesting and suspicious indeed. Remember how we talked about this campaign in our rainbow video, Trump-Pence 2020, and how that just so happens to sound like what? Trumpets 2020, Trumpets 2020. You mean like the Feast of Trumpets 2020? And how we talked about that the Feast of Trumpets 2020 in the restored calendar will begin on September 22nd and go all the way until September 23rd, 2020 this year. Is that a surprise or a coincidence? Because you know Hollywood has been foreshadowing those dates for a very long time now. Of course, we're not saying that anything's going to happen on those days. What I'm trying to get you to see, though, is that prophetic judgment is basically here. But the question is, are you seeing it, or are your eyes still closed and now open to the truth? And prayerfully, you're seeking Yahuwah and his true son Yahusha like never before, because, folks, that is where we find our refuge. This is Truth Unveiled here, saying as always, Shalom.